You don't do this thing when you're in the right state of mind. People I know, I spent 20 years on the street. People in their right state of mind just don't do this. He allowed one woman to exit the elevator unharmed, and then he killed himself. Why do they get to this point? These are mental health issues. People are depressed, people are struggling, they're suffering with these issues. And it doesn't make it any better when we have all of this divisiveness and fear-mongering going on. You don't do this when you're in a normal state of mind. Why, people? I'm asking you. Is it because of all the anger? Because of all the divisiveness? Because of all the gloom and doom? You're losing your health care. You're losing your Social Security. Half of it is BS. Not true. And where does it start? It starts from the top. Hey everyone, welcome to another Sit Down with Michael Franzese. Hope everybody is doing well. All is very good, very blessed, my friends. And as always, I give all the praise, honor, glory, and thanksgiving to our God for that. You know, people, there's a very disturbing trend in 2025. It's happened prior, but this is 2025, so it's right in our faces, so to speak. A lot of mass killings, knifings, attacks on innocent people. And, you know, I have a theory about this. I think because we have so much divisiveness in this country right now, so much anger, and I hold our public officials, all of them, accountable because I think it all starts at the top and it trickles down. You go on social media, you see them attacking one another all the time. You see a lot of fear-mongering, like the world is coming to an end and the economy is going to crash and all this bad stuff is going to happen. And people in their everyday lives, they get disillusioned by this. You know, some people are having mental health issues and this affects them. Fear-mongering is no good. It's not good. Politicians think that they're accomplishing something because they're, you know, getting people to support them or donate to them or whatever it is that they're doing. And they're really affecting people, you know, in their everyday lives. And that's why I believe that these attacks are happening. Now, you can disagree with me. I'd like to hear it in your comments. We have people there that are unstable. Mental health issues are serious issues. You know, they're as tough as a physical disease, and they're, you know, more prevalent now than they were ever before. There's a reason for that. And again, I attribute a lot of it to our leadership. I'm sorry, but that's what I believe. That's what I see. And I see all this fear-mongering and all of this divisiveness trickling down to people, you know, on the ground, so to speak. And it's terrible, and we need to do something about it. You know, what do? Obviously, as a Christian, we pray about it. We don't want to see innocent people getting hurt. And, you know, that's the problem here, people. Who suffers over all of this? It's not the elites that suffer. It's not the politicians that suffer, that are creating all of this fear-mongering and divisiveness and the harsh rhetoric that's coming out. It's not them. You know, they're fine. They live in their ivory towers. They got security. They got protection. It's people on the ground. It's the middle class. It's the you know, the poorer people, so to speak. They're the ones that suffer over this because these attacks happen on them. And it's really sad. It really is. And I want to point some of this out. I hate to bring up bad news, but I want to point some of this out because it's something we need to be aware of. And again, you know what? We shouldn't subscribe to people that are fear-mongering, that are trying to get us to, you know, think the world is coming to an end or that the country is going to collapse and all these horrible things happening. This divisiveness is no good for anybody on the ground here. It really isn't. I'm enjoying my wine. Can't help it, people. You know what? I got to tell you something. For the price, you can't beat this. I really mean it. This is my Areni. It's delicious. People are loving it. Last year at this time, we were in 400 locations. Today, we're in 3,400 and growing. We'll probably be in 5,000 by the end of this year. So, salute to that, my friends. I want to point some of these things out in case some of you are not paying attention. It's hard not to because it's in the news, but we've had some major attacks on innocent people. I'm going to go over some of them. The most recent one, I think we've all seen it because it was all over the media for several days, only recently, and that was the Midtown Manhattan skyscraper shooting. Horrible thing here. It happened on July 28th, and it happened at 345 Park Avenue. I'm reading this. The shooter was a young man by the name of Shane Devon Tamora. He was only 27 years old, and he traveled all the way from Las Vegas to handle this. It seemed that he was a disillusioned athlete. He didn't like the NFL, and that's why he was going into their building. I think they were the primary target of this, but then it got out of control. Like I said, it's innocent people that suffer. Here's what happened. 4 were killed. An NYPD officer was killed. I think his name was Darrell Islam. He was off duty on security. A Blackstone executive was killed. A Rudin management employee was killed, and a security guard. 4 people, senselessly, I should say, murdered. 1 was critically injured. An NFL employee later stabilized, but he was critically injured, but thank God he pulled through. The details of the attack: the shooter entered the building at 6:28 p.m. He was wearing body armor. He was out on the street with body armor on. He had an MF4 assault rifle. He was carrying it through the street. He shot Officer Islam first in the lobby, and then he proceeded to shoot other people. He took an elevator to the 33rd floor where Rudin management offices were, and he killed 1 more victim there. I don't believe that person was the target, just gotten away, whatever. This is mental health. There's no question. You don't do this thing when you're in the right state of mind. People I know, I spent 20 years on the street. People in their right state of mind just don't do this. These are mental health issues. He allowed one woman to exit the elevator unharmed, and then he killed himself. Had to be mentally disturbed. You don't just do these things randomly like this. Why do they get to this point? I am telling you, this is what I believe. If you disagree with me, comment. Let me know. I'm not saying that, that we should pity or feel sorry for the perpetrator here. I'm not saying that. But what I am saying is these are mental health issues. People are depressed. People are struggling. They're suffering with these issues. And it doesn't make it any better when we have all of this divisiveness and fear-mongering going on. This is my feeling on it. Please comment. Let me know if you think I'm right or wrong. Now, they recovered an MF assault rifle, a revolver. They had this in his car. He had loaded magazines in the back of his car. He had prescription medications. Why? We don't know what they were for, not yet. And they were all found in his vehicle. And this was a corporate tower housing NFL headquarters. That's where it happened. Blackstone and Rudin Management. Those were the 3 companies in this building. And the total incident took approximately 30 minutes. Now, were there any signs that this young man was that disturbed? The reason I bring this up, maybe if we do see something in one of our neighbors, maybe a relative of ours, that there's a pattern of some kind of disturbing behavior, maybe we should deal with it in some way. Now, Michael, you say, what way? That's difficult. Do you sit this person down? Do you think it's serious enough to report to authorities? Will the authorities even do something about it when no crime has been committed? It's very hard to prevent these things. Very, very hard. And that's the problem. The issue is not to get it to that point where somebody feels they have to take such an action. Let me go to another one. Queens Nightclub mass shooting. It happened on January 1st, New Year's. The location was the Amazura Concert Hall in Jamaica, Queens, my old territory. The shooters were 3 to 4 unidentified gunmen. They were on foot. And these were the fatalities and the injuries. Nobody was killed, thank God. 10 were injured, 6 females, 4 males, and they were ages 16 to 20. These were kids. All the victims expected to recover with non-life-threatening injuries. But why did this happen? Over 30 rounds were fired into a crowd outside a nightclub around 11:20 p.m. The victims were awaiting entry to private memorial event for a deceased teen. The assailants fled in light-colored sedan with out-of-state plates. The event was a memorial for a 16-year-old Teorian Mungo, his name was, and he was killed in October of 2024. The weapons used were multiple firearms, specific types not disclosed, and the setting again was a nightclub entrance during New Year's memorial celebration. These people were at a memorial celebration for one of their, friends, I would imagine, that passed away, that was killed. And they get shot at. I don't know about any of you, but I don't want my kids going to any concerts. I mean, I'm worried about it. How do you prevent something like this? You could be in a movie theater, you can be in a concert hall, attending an event, and some crazy person comes out and starts shooting or wielding a knife and stabbing people. I mean, this is horrible stuff. And again, the reason I keep saying this is because of what I believe. It happens from the top. too much divisiveness, too much rhetoric, inflammatory rhetoric, and people are not stable. They take this and accept it differently than people who are stable, and this is what happens. They react in ways like this. Let's go on. UPMC Hospital, hostage and shooting, February 22nd, 2025. The location, UPMC Memorial Hospital in York, Pennsylvania. The shooter was by the name of Diogenes Archangel Ortiz. He was 49 years old. The fatalities and the injuries. One police officer was killed. West York Borough Officer Andrew Duarte, 30 years old. Another young man killed, in the line of duty. 5 others were injured. An ICU doctor, a nurse, a custodian, and 2 additional officers. All surviving victims were in stable condition. They all pulled through. These are the details. Ortiz, he entered the ICU at 10:35 a.m. with a backpack containing a handgun and zip ties. He held multiple staff members hostage after recent death of terminally ill wife. Okay, so it seems like he was blaming the doctors for what happened to his wife. Officers attempted negotiation. Ortiz emerged holding a female employee at gunpoint. Police opened fire when he refused to surrender. Ortiz killed in the shootout. The weapons used, semi-automatic handgun, and the setting was a hospital intensive care unit during morning shift. Sounds like, again, mental health issue. So distraught over his wife, passing away, that he was blaming people. But how do you get to this point? Again, these have to be mental health issues. You don't do this when you're in a good state or a proper state of mind. Another one, Traverse City Walmart. This was a tough one. A knife attack happened on July 26th. The location was Walmart in Traverse City, Michigan, a city I visited quite often. The attacker was a fellow by the name of Bradford James Gill. He was 42 years old, of Afton, Michigan. Fatalities and injuries, nobody, thank God, but 11 people were injured, aged 29 to 84. 7 of the victims are in fair condition. 4 are in serious condition as of July 27th, just a few days ago. The details, the attacker entered the store at 4:10 p.m., waited 35 minutes before the attack. He's walking around, the Walmart before he made this decision to attack. He used a folded knife to randomly stab shoppers right near the checkout area. He knew none of these people. He just started stabbing them. 2 Marine veterans among the bystanders who cornered the suspect in the parking lot. One armed citizen drew a gun on the attacker, forcing him to drop the knife. And the weapons used was a folding knife with a 3.5-inch blade. Now, these people go to shop in Walmart, and somebody with a knife starts stabbing them all in a Walmart. Innocent people. Again, mental health issue. Must be. No question about it. You don't do this when you're in a normal state of mind. Why, people? I'm asking you. Is it because of all the anger? Because of all the divisiveness? Because of all the gloom and doom? You're losing your health care. You're losing your Social Security. Half of it is BS. Not true. And where does it start? It starts from the top. And what's the motivation? Not because they care about us. They want you to vote them in. They want you to donate to their cause. Trust me when I tell you, these people do not care. If they cared, they would not be spreading this kind of rhetoric. All they care about, I've been saying this consistently, and this is not politics, people. These are issues. I've been saying it consistently. These people care about one thing and one thing only, staying in power. That's it. And they don't care who suffers as a result of their rhetoric, as a result of their divisiveness, as a result of their, gloom and doom prospects all the time. People get nervous and get upset. These are mental health issues that are causing these things. FSU campus shooting, April 17, 2025 at Florida State University. Visited often. Phoenix Eichner was his name, 20 years old. He was a student at FSU. Fatalities, 2 killed. They weren't students. 5 were injured. 1 additional person hospitalized. The shooter seriously injured by police gunfire. Details, shooting began around 11:50 a.m. near the Student Union building. Eichner arrived at campus parking garage around 11 a.m. Police responded immediately, shooting and apprehending suspect at noon. Used his stepmother's former police service weapon. Weapons used, there was a handgun, a former police service weapon, and a shotgun. What was wrong with this young man? I don't know. We didn't get all the details. But again, you're not in your right state of mind when you're doing these things. Trust me when I tell you this. And again, I'm not giving empathy to the perpetrator of the crime. I'm not doing that. I'm not going light on the attacker. There's no excuse for this. But we have to know there's a general atmosphere that's not a joyous one in this country. It's not. And maybe throughout the world. People are upset. People are scared. People are nervous. And some people that are not in their right state of mind, they react differently. They can't handle pressure that's put on them through this rhetoric and all this divisiveness that's going on. It's not good. And these are the things that happens. And again, who suffers? People on the ground. Normal people trying to live their lives. The Minnesota Lawmaker assassination on June 14th. Brooklyn Park in Champlin, Minnesota. The shooter was a fellow by the name of Vance Luther Boltner. He was 57 years old. 2 people killed. State Representative Melissa Hortman was the House DFL leader, and her husband Mark. 2 critically injured. State Senator John Hoffman, 9 bullet wounds, and wife Yvette, 8 bullet wounds. Well, this time, it wasn't just normal people on the ground, I would say. It was politicians that got it. I'm not for that either. We shouldn't be shooting people, no matter where. Both Hoffmans survived after extensive surgery. Boltner disguised as a police officer with realistic silicone mask and tactical gear. He shot the Hoffmans at 2 a.m. after claiming to be a police officer. He killed the Hortmans at 3:35 a.m. when real police arrived for a welfare check. He had detailed target list of 45-plus Democratic officials, abortion providers. He was captured after a 2-day manhunt near his Green Isle. The weapons used, multiple firearms, including semi-automatic rifles. And people, let me tell you something. I'm not saying this to restrict gun laws. It's people that use these guns, okay? And let me tell you this, I understand the street better than anybody, or as good as anybody out there. When you restrict guns, there'll be more on the black market for criminals to get than you can imagine. It's not this. It's people that are not in their right state of mind that are doing these things. Now, this is wrong. What's he saying here? Maybe this guy was a strict conservative. He went after Democrats. He went after abortion providers. Do I agree with this? Of course not. Again, it's the rhetoric that's coming down. It's serious stuff on both sides. Democrats saying, hey, we have a right to have abortions whenever we want. And the people on the other side, no, you're babies. I mean, this is the rhetoric that's going back and forth, and somebody that can't handle it, that's not got it all upstairs, this is the result. Extreme action and people get hurt. Let me read some of the mental health and motivational factors in some of these mass attacks. In the Midtown, New York shooting, it was documented mental illness history with prescribed medications. He definitely had mental health issues. This was the New York attack. Delusional beliefs. He claimed the NFL gave him CTE despite no documented brain injury. Grievance-based motivation. He believed he had to act against the NFL, and he drove cross-country from Las Vegas over 3 days before the attack. So he was on prescription medication, for his mental health issues, and this is what drove him. This is what drove him. Again, I'm not giving empathy to the perpetrator of the crime. He killed himself afterwards. This was a seriously disturbed young man. And again, we have to do something about the rhetoric, the divisiveness, the gloom and doom, all this stuff that's going on in this country. And it needs to start at the top, because all they're interested in is fighting one another. Democrats, Republicans, fighting one another, talking negative about one another, blaming one another for everything that's going on. It's got to stop. It absolutely has to stop. In the hospital shooting, grief-induced breakdown following his wife's terminal diagnosis. He was angry at the medical system, another Mangione. He perceived inadequate care for his dying spouse. His behavior escalated. He was removed from the hospital the night before all of these outbursts. There was an indication there, but again, who knew he was going to act so violently? It's hard to predict something like this. And, in this case, look, grief-stricken, but again, you're grief-stricken to the point where you want to kill people. I don't know, people. I don't know. He specifically sought out the ICU staff who treated his wife. Terrible. For this guy, maybe I have some empathy for him. Grief can really get to you. But again, we can never justify behavior like that. No way. In the Traverse City Walmart stabbing, the perpetrator was diagnosed schizophrenia with decades-long untreated mental health issues. The family's repeated pleas for institutionalization of this guy was ignored by the system. The history of violence he had and multiple incarcerations, but he fell through the cracks of the mental health system repeatedly. Okay. So, my friends, is there any common trend or pattern in all of these attacks? I think there are, and I've been harping this throughout. I think these are mental health issues. People that are stable don't do things like this. They just don't. And, I hate to say it, but look, 20 years on the street, I know guys in, situations that happened, and I know when violence happens. But attacks like this on innocent people, they just don't happen unless you're really disturbed. Now, is it a pattern of mental illness that you might have had? Is it something that just snapped inside of you? It could be either or. But I want to go through some of the key trends and patterns in all of these cases. The January 1st incident in the Queens nightclub, the February 1st incident at the hospital, the April 1st incident at FSU, the June 1st incident, Minnesota Lawmakers, and the July 2nd incident at Walmart's, the thing. Was this temporal distribution? What do I mean by that? This seems like mental health, without a doubt. All of these cases seem like mental health to me. Something sprung in these people. It's just not normal what went on here. 4 of these 6 cases, they showed clear mental health components. We talked about it, 3 cases involved documented psychiatric conditions. The problem is when these people have these psychiatric conditions, we don't know to what extent it's going to play and they're acting out on it. God forbid, like this, they want to kill people. That's serious. What do we do to stop it? I don't know. This is not an easy answer. Relatives of these people, are they noticing these patterns and trying to get help? If they're trying to get help, are they getting the help that they need? We saw one incident here where the institution said, we can't help you, or they didn't take it serious enough. The 2 cases are primarily politically, ideologically motivated. Okay, but there's still something inside of you when you want to go out and start killing people that you don't know. Really, you have nothing to do with them. You're just killing innocent people. There was one case where gang criminal violence, and there was no mental health factors. That was the one outside of the club when they were going to do the memorial for that young man. I mean, so that we understand. These are just criminals. Criminals kill for reasons that they kill. And they obviously were targeting those people for some reason. Who knows why? I don't know if we ever got to the bottom of this. But the total killed in all of these, dead people were 8. Total injured, 31 people. The most lethal was the Minnesota assassination, 2 killed. Well, I don't know about that. I mean, I think the killing in New York, there was 4 people killed there. That was pretty rough, too. And the highest injury count, Walmart. Can you imagine being in a Walmart, at the checkout counter or looking for anything in there and somebody, crazy person coming up to you with a knife and starts stabbing you and slicing you? I mean, these are horrible things, people. And look, I've been saying it all the way through. The problem with our leadership in this country, it's too divisive. They're too angry towards one another. They're too hateful towards one another. Back in my day growing up, we didn't have this. I'm telling you right now, we had Republicans, we had Democrats. They had some differences ideologically, but you got together and had a meal. It didn't destroy friendships. They weren't cursing one another out. They weren't calling each other horrible names. They weren't calling them Hitler and Nazi and all this kind of stuff. This is very, very dangerous rhetoric. It really is. And it's trickling down to people that already are unstable, and they act out as a result of all this hatred. Michael, what are you saying? What's the solution? Very simple. Some people sometimes, you have to be the higher person here. Even Donald Trump, and say, listen, I'm the president for everybody. I have to try to get these Democrats to understand what it is I'm trying to do. I know what they want to do, and I know they're supposed to oppose me, but it's about time. People, I'm asking you, get your people behind me. I'm trying to help America. I'm not trying to hurt. I'm not trying to make billionaires wealthier. What do they need me for? They're wealthy already. I'm a billionaire. I understand it. This is nonsense. We need to get together and help middle class and lower class people. We got to help them. This is what should be coming from the Republicans. As far as the Democrats, I don't know what to say about these people. I really don't. I mean, the lunacy on that side is just beyond anything that I can comprehend or understand. The hatred for Donald Trump is beyond anything I've ever witnessed politically or any other way. I mean, it's something I don't know what to tell you when it comes to this. I wish I had the solution. As Christians, we got to pray for these people. We don't know what else to do. But like I said, it trickles down. It gets into the heads of people that can't handle it. And understand this, they don't suffer over it. Even if they get voted out of office, they already probably made their money. They don't suffer off it. They'll get a cushiony job somewhere else. You think Kamala Harris is suffering? She's going to write a book right now, going to make a ton of money. These people don't suffer. It's people that are trying to raise a family, try to go to work, trying to enjoy the life as much as they can, provide for their families. Those are the ones that suffer over this. So what do we need to do? Again, I don't have the answer other than we have to somehow implore, reach out to our leadership and tell them to stop. It's damaging. It's damaging, and you need to stop. That's it. These are horrible incidents that happened. This is only the first half of the year. Who knows what's going to happen, continue to happen. I don't know. But I'm telling you this, mark my words, as long as we continue having this rhetoric from our leadership, this is going to continue. It's not going to get better. As a matter of fact, it'll probably get worse. My friends, this is not a happy segment, I have to say that, but it's been on my mind. The more I see of this, this whole New York thing just brought it to light. A guy, comes and kills innocent people for no reason, then kills himself. Just a horrible thing. And remember, it's not only the people that died. Look at the families that are suffering over this. I was watching the funeral of the officer that got killed. I mean, the family's destroyed. They have 2 children, and his wife is pregnant. And she's got to go through this. You got to pray she doesn't lose the baby over this emotional distress that she's going to have. For no reason. Innocent guy. No reason whatsoever. Leadership. We're calling out to you. Stop. You're not doing anybody any good. And we know you don't really care about anybody here on the ground. You're doing this for yourselves to maintain your position. Stop. That's all I can tell you. People, how do I always leave you? First of all, listen, if you enjoy the content, hit the subscribe button. We appreciate it. We love to have the following that we're having. Hit the subscribe button if you like it. And you do us a solid in that regard. But how do I always leave you? Be safe, people. We have a very uncertain world here. It's a shame that people outside of the United States are afraid to come to the United States because of all the stuff that they've seen. And we're not a dangerous country, but there's a lot of stuff going on that puts pause in people's minds. People, after this, I need a glass of wine. So salute to all of you. And I don't know if this is going to help, but hey, and by the way, this is non-alcoholic wine, just so you know. And it's good. You can get it at Walmart. Be safe. Be healthy, of course. You know how I harp on that. And yes, God bless each and every one of you, your family, your community, your neighborhood, your children. God bless all of you. God bless America. And God, please help us here. Our prayers go out to you, God. We're asking you to help us so that these mindless attacks don't occur anymore, because we've had enough of it. And I'll see you next time. Take care.